I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury for Thursday, October 5th, 2023. We're going to have the invocation and pledge allegiance by Mr. Hayes. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity again to come together, to exchange ideas, and hopefully to follow your leadership and your guidance and your law. We thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for these folks that are involved enough to come and support us and join us and express their thoughts. We ask that you bless this meeting, that you guide us. In your precious Son, Jesus' name we offer the prayer. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Yes, sir. Mr. Abshire was unable to attend this evening. Mr. Andropov?
Here.
Mr. Barris?
Here.
Mr. Barty?
Here.
Vice President Brain?
Here.
Mr. Burley?
Here.
Mr. Guillory?
Here.
Mr. Hayes?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Marcantel?
Here.
Mr. Richard?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Stelly?
Here.
Mr. Tremonti?
Here.
And President Landry.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Kathy. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Item 1's a 5:45. We will come back to that in 13 minutes. 2A, appearance by Dr. Eric Nizak, candidate for District 7, Louisiana Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. Doctor?
Thank you.
I hope I pronounce your name
Pretty close.
correctly,
It's
but
Dr. Kinesic. But you don't have to
set the record straight.
Right. You don't have to pronounce it to select it and vote for it. It's Kinesic. I'm the third one down. So thank you very much, Mr. President, and the rest of the police jury members and audience for being here and giving me a couple minutes to talk to you about me. I am a native of Lafayette product. I had the opportunity, because of that foundation of a good public school education, to go to the United States Naval Academy. I graduated from there with distinction.
Amen.
Thank you. I served in the Navy as a CB officer and then a dive officer. My last few years in the Navy were after the USS Cole bombing and 9/11. So the last 2 years in the Navy, I was thrust into the anti-terrorism world, and that's what I did. I was just gone doing anti-terrorism force protection for the waterfront for the Navy. I got out in 2002, went into business, and I built up a company called Oceanetics. You can Google it. But Oceanetics, basically, we are a defense contractor, and we work primarily doing the same type of work I did in the Navy, ocean engineering and anti-terrorism work for the United States Navy worldwide. I have employees in about 18 states throughout the country, but I choose to live in Louisiana because this is my home. This is where I'm from. My father is a retired Lafayette City police officer. My late mother is buried in Lafayette. I raised my kids in Louisiana. And one day, these two kids that I'm talking about are in the Army. And one day I want them to come home. I want them to finish their service like I did and come back home one day. And I want to make sure that they raise their kids here in Louisiana. That's why I'm running for Bessie, because I want to improve education and make sure kids still have that same opportunity that I did to have a good public education and go on and do great things and achieve that American dream. I also have a PhD in engineering. If you go look at the other candidates, I am absolutely the most qualified candidate, being an Annapolis graduate, a veteran, a businessman, and a PhD in engineering. I guarantee you I can handle the complex tasks that Bessie is going to be handling over the next 4 years. But my two primary objectives are school security. That is one of the things I championed while I was on the Lafayette Parish School Board. I forgot to mention, I was on the Lafayette Parish School Board for one term, and one of the things there is I put an officer and deputy in every school in Lafayette Parish. I championed that program. Did a whole lot of other things, but that's one of the things I'm most proud of. That's one of the things I want to make sure that we not only set policy for on a state level, but fund on a state level so that our school systems don't have to use education money directly to protect those kids. And the second thing is workforce development. About 3/4 of our kids aren't going to college, yet we're graduating them, and very few of them have professional certifications that can make them competitive in the workforce. So I want to focus on that. I want to celebrate that kid who walks across with a CDL or a welding certification or any other type of professional certification, just as much as we're celebrating those kids walking across getting those scholarships and tops. So those are my objectives. My name is Dr. Eric Kinesic. I ask you all for your vote, and I ask you for your support. But the other thing that I ask is take the time to research me and advocate for me. You guys know thousands of people I don't know. I'm from Lafayette. It's almost like a foreign nation over here, right? The separation between Lafayette and Lake Charles. but we are all the same. We all have the same objectives. So I ask you to please research me and advocate for me and help me win this election. So thank you very much.
Okay, we may have some questions, Doctor.
Okay.
Mr. Brame?
Eric, thank you, first of all, for your service to our country.
Yes, sir.
And secondly, good luck to you.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure meeting you tonight, because we've talked half a dozen times, and so it was my pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Mr. Andrew Pont?
Dr. Knezik, again, thank you for your service. And you mentioned, first, that's not a Lafayette name, huh?
Well, it's been Cajun. You know, my parents came over from Lubbock and El Paso in the 60s, and they met there, got married there. So it's been Cajun since the 60s.
So you mentioned you served a term on the school board.
Yes.
And that's good. So you probably notice not very often that you have people coming to the podium advocating for children.
No.
Everyone else, same thing that applies with Bessie. So I wish you all the best, and I hope that you advocate for children, because many times everybody else has self-interest, and it seems to be the children are left behind, and that's what education's about, is children.
Yes, sir.
So again, wish you all the best, and thank you for coming to see me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew Pont. And Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. I want to thank you for your service also, too. And I want to get your input on school vouchers. I know there's been a hot topic that's been going around, and I want to know how you feel about those.
So education savings accounts is what they're, I think, going to be called in the future. It is something that is coming to Louisiana, and I do think it is something that is going to pass in Louisiana. And that's going to be out of my, that's going to be up to the state legislature and the governor on whether or not they're going to pass that. But basically, in a sense, you can think of the money following the child. And while it is, I'll tell you, it's a scary concept for public school systems. I think, I do have the teacher support, just so I didn't talk about that, but I have the teacher support, the superintendent support, and we're able to have realistic conversations about vouchers where they know they're coming. So when you know something is coming, how do you then prepare for it, and how do you then compete for it? What that means is, if you choose as a parent to send your child to a private school, parochial school, public school, charter school, or homeschool, in theory, and again, the law isn't written, but there have been drafts, the money will follow the child. That means the parent will have the power to make that decision on where that money goes. And I'll tell you, it is scary for a public school system, but they know it's coming, and I believe that they are preparing for it. So,
Thank you, sir.
yes, sir.
And Mr. Richard?
Doc, thank you for your service. Tu parles en français?
No, sir.
From El Paso.
Unfortunately, I don't. I should speak fluent Spanish. My wife speaks fluent
I'm from
Spanish.
Erath, Louisiana.
All right.
Which is right
We have a
there.
lot of support.
And we all spoke French.
We have a lot of support from the Toopses in Erath. So, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barty?
Doc,
Yes,
most
sir.
important question of the whole evening here. Now consider where you are. You're in Lake Charles.
Right.
Two combination of colors. Tell me your preference. Red and white or blue and gold?
Blue, well,
Consider
I'll tell
where
you.
you're at.
No. I'll tell you. It's easy for me. Blue and gold. Did you know? I'm cheating though because I went to the United States Naval Academy. So I would have answered that question either way. Blue and gold.
Smart man. Smart
Yes,
man.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Very good. Thank you, sir. Good luck to
Again,
you.
thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
2B, appearance by Mr. Scott Washington, candidate for District 8 Police Juror.
Hi, my name is Scott Washington. I spoke to Mr. Stelly the other day, and he told me that this was a forum that was available that I wasn't aware of. So first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to address you as a body. I have been in business in Lake Charles for 45 years. Most of that time was spent in the environmental business. I believe I bring a unique set of skills to the police jury that can be beneficial to the police jury and to the public in general, because what we hear every day on the news is hysterical rhetoric. And Calcasieu Parish needs somebody that knows a little bit about how things are supposed to work and what acceptable and non-acceptable is. Right now, they've demonized carbon. Think about that. Carbon, the basic building block of life. All life on Earth is carbon-based. All of the plants and all of the ocean require carbon dioxide. We're fixing to be forced to spend trillions of dollars in the economy, and the stated purpose at the White House is to eliminate the fossil fuel business. We need some people who know something about it that are willing to stand up and at least offer a discussion that's based on reality and not hysteria. In all of the years that I've been here in Lake Charles, it's been my pleasure to work with a whole bunch of different people. You guys are 15. I want to be number 15 since Guy's stepping down. You have to operate like a team. I come from a team background in industry and in the oil field. Everything is teams. There's not a decision that gets made by an individual. So I've participated in teams doing all kinds of environmental work. We've done Superfund, we've done Brownsfield. We played a major role in the BP oil spill because we were responsible for open water decon so that the boats could come back to port without ruining the port. Over the years, the companies that I've owned and operated have generated millions of dollars to Calcasieu Parish. And I happen to believe that we have pretty good government around here. I don't have an agenda that's radical. What I do want to do is what I've always done and be part of the solution. I think I have an understanding after this many years of what's required to be a good public servant. My intention is to serve. I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't have higher aspirations. My goal is to help my neighbors and the people that live in Calcasieu Parish. I will say this, and I may step on somebody's toes, but I have never understood why that Calcasieu River divides this parish. If I can get elected, I'm going to represent the whole parish. I've met Mr. Smith at a couple of meetings up in Gosport. One of them was being led by people who are hysterical fanatics. And guess what? They work for the governor's office. And if we don't stand up and start speaking to some of these issues, we're going to look up and the basis of our economy is going to be forced out of business with regulations that are way too onerous and compliance guidelines that are simply not achievable. I happen to believe, in general, that the industries don't get enough credit for the things they do. I can tell you, they take it seriously, and I have spent millions of their dollars making sure they were in compliance, that the water was clean, and dealing with the legacy issues that were carryovers from the 40s and the 50s when these facilities were first built. I raised my family here. My wife is a McNeese graduate. My daughter-in-law is on the nursing faculty at McNeese. And I will say this, we're very proud of her. She has just become Dr. Amelia Washington. My youngest son works with Paul Pettifer at the Rib Shack. This is home to me. I'm here, I'm at the point in my life for the first time that I can devote all of my attention to doing the job that's required to run a $450 million organization that is the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury operations.
Okay, Mr. Washington,
I'm
if
not
you-
going to be critical, I'm done.
Mr. Washington, if you could, we'll have to ask you to wrap it up. We had a
I'm done.
5:45.
Do you have any questions?
We'll see. Do you have any questions for Mr. Washington from the jurors? Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Washington.
you.
Good luck to you,
Appreciate it.
sir. Okay, we're gonna go back to item 1. If there's anyone in the audience that is here to speak on any of the items, which are all the condemns cases that are on item 1, they need to fill out a blue card that you'll find at the front of the room and turn it into someone here at the staff desk. Currently, we only have one of these for item 1K. So if you're here on any of these other items, you have to fill out the blue slip. That way we make sure to recognize you. They,
not yet.
They will, no, sir. We'll catch them in order. Well, I guess we'll give them a moment to fill out the slip. Mr. Crane.
I just need to speak on 1A whenever you get a chance, whenever we start.
Okay. On 1A, sir? Yes, sir. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. 1A, 4167 Green Tree Lane in Gillis.
So, Mr. President, my staff has been working with Mr. Guy Rigdon. He's going to be purchasing this property, and he is going to fix up the accessory buildings that are on this property, and then eventually put on in a home there. And he sent us all the repair requirements and everything, and we would recommend that you allow him to do these repairs and give him, 30 days to do that. And if he needs more time to get it done, obviously we can work with him to extend that, so.
Make a motion, we give him 30 days.
So I'm just going to defer, have a motion to defer.
You
Okay,
can-
and Mr.
yes.
Rigdon, did you have anything to add to that, or?
Not really. He kind of hit the nail on the head. I have plans to fix it up and put a new mobile home on there and set it up for another person to live on. My wife and I own a real estate brokerage in Moss Bluff. And so that's kind of our plan, is to set it up for somebody else to live in. It was damaged during the hurricane, and so we want to get in there as quick as we can and knock it out and clean it up.
Okay, are there any questions from the jury? Okay, so we had a motion to defer for 30 days by Mr. Richard, and we had a second by Mr. Stelly.
Well, we would recommend, you can defer it. We recommend that you allow him to repair it. He's going to close on the property.
We close tomorrow at 11 a.m.
So once he closes,
So what kind of motion are you looking for, Mr. Crane?
motion to
Do
allow
you think
him to
you,
repair.
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Mr. Richard, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. You think you have 30 days will be sufficient for you to do what needs to be done?
I think so. I think within 30 days, we should have it knocked out pretty close. And then
We'll need more?
if we get to 30 days and I see that I need more, whether it be materials or whatever is running behind, then we will. First thing, probably next week, we'll get in there and cut the grass, clean it up, getting it looking a little better, and get the materials on order.
I think Mr. Crane's staff has the leeway to work, to give them extra time.
We do. The ordinance allows me to give him another extension beyond that.
Okay, so we just need a motion to
To repair.
to allow him to repair. That's your motion now, Mr. Richard. We got a second by Mr. Stelly. Is there any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Rigdon.
Thank y'all.
Okay, item 1B, 2421 Bonita Drive in Lake Charles. Is there anyone in the audience here to speak on 2421 Bonita Drive in Lake Charles? Got a motion by Mr. Brame to condemn and remove in 30 days, second by Mr. Hayes. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 1C, 8559 Gulf Highway, Lot 218 in Lake Charles. We do have a speaker, Mr. Tony Washington. If you would, sir, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Tony Washington. My address is 15560 Cheney Road in Zachary, Louisiana. Here to represent my father, Arthur Fontenot.
Okay, sir, you have the floor. If you would, please tell the jury why the structure should not be condemned.
So my father came here today to let it know that this is in a foreclosure process. He's been displaced in Shreveport with my sister this whole time. So the house, it's either in limbo, whether they fighting with the insurance company or he don't know what to do at this point because they haven't closed the process. They got a $60,000 check. They sent that to the insurance company. They saying they owe $72,000. So he's old and he don't really know what to do until they close that part of it. You know, there's issues with the trees, and now he's got a $3,000 check or $3,000 bill for the check for the tree being removed. So he just basically saying, hey, he needs to be able to solve this before he addresses the house.
Do we have questions from the jury? I don't think we have a motion either, so. Okay, Mr. Brame, go ahead.
Well, so obviously, I mean, the only thing worth anything is the land, right?
Yes, that's what he actually owns. And I guess it's by a lien holder, the trail itself, he would come back and fix it, but they haven't resolved that part of it if the $60,000 is sufficient enough to just end it, or he owes $12,000 more. He just don't know what to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, the mobile home, I mean, it's gotta go.
So I think basically what he's concerned about, does this bill come on him, or does it go on the lien holder? He's at the point where now he's too old to even take anymore, you know? So he was just asking it, should it be resolved one way or the other?
Well, if we condemn it, we'll give you 30 days to remove it at your cost. And then if it's not removed in 30 days, then we remove it.
Then there's a lien placed on the property.
So it goes to whoever the lien holder is. That's all he wants to know.
I'm gonna make a motion to condemn and remove in 30 days.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Brame to condemn and remove in 30 days, a second by Mr. Marcantel. Is there any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, sir. 1D, 8559 Gulf Highway, Lot 39, Lake Charles. Is there anyone in the audience to speak on 1D, 8559 Gulf Highway, Lot number 39?
Move to condemn, remove in 30 days.
I have a motion by Mr. Brame to condemn and remove in 30 days, a second by, was that Mr. Tremonti? Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 1E, 8559 Gulf Highway, lots 138, 176, 219, 235, 239, 241, and 242. Is there anyone in the audience here to speak on 1E, 8559 Gulf Highway, lots 138, 176, 219, 235, 239, 241, and 242?
Move to condemn.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. Anderpont, a second by Mr. Marcantel. We have discussion. Mr. Barris.
Thank you. Mr. West, how many
It's owned by the mobile home park.
are we done with this place?
Oh,
Is that all the lots we're gonna, or are we still investigating a bunch more?
this is the only, and David may be able
'Cause I
to
know it's a
answer
big-
this, because
I know it's
we
a
have
big part.
groups, of these, and some may be in a different group, I'm not sure.
I can answer, Mr. Barris.
go ahead.
Mr. Barris, this is in my district, sir, and I can tell you something about this. These owners of this mobile home park, you will never be through with these folks. As long as you're here, you're gonna be dealing with these people. And I'm
So you're
sorry.
saying we're gonna
But
end up
this has
doing
gone
this?
on for years.
So you're saying we're more than likely gonna end up be the
I-
ones?
You'll more than likely see this property on there again, or some more units coming out of there.
But I'm talking about the parish actually doing the
It's the
cleanup,
truth.
or the,
Sorry.
I mean, do we see them? Probably not. They're not even here. All right.
Is there any further discussion?
The context there, Mr. Landry.
Any objections?
Going back to being a pastor.
Hearing none, motion carries. 1F, 9248 Gulf Highway, Lake Charles. Miss Angela McCain, if you would, come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, good evening. Angela McCain, 9248 Gulf Highway. I know you guys missed me so much. I have an offer for estimated cost of repairs from Restore LA. They're gonna fix my house. I don't necessarily think that's gonna be the case. Once they start the project, I think it's gonna be moved from a rebuild, from a repair to a reconstruct, but that's for them to decide once they have their contractors there. I accepted the grant award, so the ball's in their court now.
Okay,
So I don't know what to request it to be. I know it's been deferred multiple times, and I appreciate
it
that.
has, and ma'am, and I got a phone number for you, and I left a message trying to help you before. We're here at the 11th hour plus, and I never got a call back. And I want to help you, but when I don't get called back, now here we are again. You're at the mercy of this jury,
I understand.
Mr. Crane, it looks like
Well,
you got something to add, maybe.
Well, I'm just gonna, tag on to you. I mean, I think my staff has been trying to contact them too, and there's no communication.
Right.
And it makes it difficult for us because we can see that there's equipment out there, there's things, that have happened, but when they don't communicate with us, we don't know what's going on. And when there's a requirement for them to get something done in a certain number of days, when we hit that day, that 30th day, and we don't get anything back from them, we're moving forward and putting it back on the agenda. That's the action that we need to take. And again, here we are.
And so you have no way
I don't know.
of
I
verifying
haven't
because
seen
there's been no
anything from
communication.
them regarding Restore or anything like that. Nothing has been submitted to our office that I'm aware of.
I didn't know that I didn't know protocol, or I didn't know that was to be done. And I know ignorance is no excuse
But that's why
either.
we keep calling you.
Well, I did get your message, Mr. Landry, but I don't believe I've received any contact from Mr.
I
Crane's
was
office.
trying to help you,
I understand.
but you got to help yourself. You got to call back. We could have worked a lot of this out before tonight.
I understand.
I mean, now it's almost too late. Do we have any questions from the jurors? Mr. Stelly?
What is the document that you have?
The estimated cost of repairs for the grant award for them to repair the house.
Who does that come from?
Restore LA.
Who?
Restore Louisiana.
Oh, Restore Louisiana. How long is that good for?
I believe it's open-ended. I mean, I accepted the grant, so I did change from a Solution 2 to a Solution 1, which means it's going to be they will manage the project as opposed to us manage the project. But I don't know what their timeline
There's no
is.
time frame on there? There's,
No, sir. And I have a difficult time getting in touch with somebody at the Restore LA office.
is anyone in contact with that office?
Well, we can contact them and find out, but that's what we're gonna have to do. I have no idea.
We did get a permit, excuse me, we did get a permit and try to repair the roof, but between COVID and the heat this past summer, then it just didn't get completed. We had all the materials donated, and it's half complete, the repairing the roof on our own dime.
Are you done for now, Mr. Stelly? Thank you. Mr. Barris?
Sounds like sounds like you need to take this bull by the horns more than one person doesn't have to contact you. One person from this entity contacts you, call them back.
I understand.
We wouldn't be sitting up here trying to decipher what you got in your hands there. I mean, we don't know if that's valid. It may be, but, you know, and these folks can help you get in touch with them. You know, you're on your own right now. If you communicate with us, then our folks, they can call them, talk their language, and get it going, help
Right.
you. So, in the words of Mr. Landry, help us help you.
I understand.
But we don't need to be sitting here just figuring all this out tonight. There's a lot to be talked about.
Right.
Mr. Brame?
Thank you, Mr. President. So what is your goal with this? Even though you have a grant in hand?
That's not my house. Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry. It looks really terrible in the picture.
So you have a grant, you have a grant in hand that
Yeah, they said
fix that.
whenever I went in to their office, I was under the understanding that it was gonna be a reconstruct, and they said, no, it's gonna be a repair. They think they can fix it for less than $90,000. I don't see that happening. But she said there's a 15-day walkthrough period. Once their contractors get on site, if they find that there's additional damage, see, the inspection was done back in November of 2022. There's been a lot more damage since that inspection date.
Well, it's open to the weather, right?
Not, that's why we were fixing the roof. There's underlayment covering the whole roof, but the tin doesn't cover the whole roof.
What,
But I mean, honestly, whatever you gentlemen, however you feel to proceed, I understand. So, I mean, if you want to issue the condemnation, then that's,
do you live on this property?
I live in a camper behind this property, behind the house. We have a FEMA unit.
I think you would want it gone.
I do.
Okay, well, then I'm gonna make a motion to condemn it.
I'll second it.
It's not legal for them to be living in a camping trailer. That's gonna be the next problem. They
Okay.
can't live in a camping trailer.
People living on the street.
Let's hang on. We still got 2 or 3 speakers. Mr. Crane, go ahead.
Well, I think that we still, under executive order, you know, they're still
Oh,
allowed.
are we?
to-
Okay.
Yeah, they're still allowed to do that.
I'm mistaken.
However,
I'm sorry.
Ms. Landry, they do need to have some sort of solution. You know, if the structure does get removed, to replace it either with a mobile home or rebuild, and we would need to permit that so that it runs concurrent with what they're, you know, living in the RV.
And we do have a mobile home. We purchased a 16 by 80 trailer that we set up on a lot on Eddie Abear Road, but I'm unable to get permits to continue that project because it's undivided property and my cousin is not agreeing to give me the permission I need to get the permits. So we're having to move that mobile home from that lot to this lot.
Okay, we have Mr. Andrew Ponce next.
Well, I was going to offer a motion, and I still am, given the loop and hearing all the conversation, offer a motion to defer for 30 days, and if I get a second, I'll explain my rationale.
Okay, well, we already have a motion on the floor to condemn and a second, correct, Mr. Gabb?
You do, but if
Yes.
it's motion to defer and there's a second, that takes precedence and you deal with the motion to defer.
Okay. We'll get to that. We still have more speakers. Mr. Geary, I think you.
Yes. If they was to tear it down, is restore, we'll build you another one, or are you gonna put that trailer there?
I read on their website, under the, whatever the conditions are for them to reconstruct your home, and as if a letter of condemnation has been issued, then they will reconstruct your home. Because it's deemed an unsafe structure, and they can't fix something that's unsafe.
And I do know with LA Restore that when they award somebody, that sometimes it just takes a little time to do it, because they're only working so many crews.
Right. Yeah. Okay, is there any other speaker, any other discussion? All right, so right now, the motion to defer takes precedence over correct?
Correct,
Mr.
if there was a
Gath?
second, if there's there's
Yeah,
a motion
Mr.
for me.
Markentile
So we had a motion by
seconded.
Mr. Andrew Pont to defer for 30 days. We had a second by Mr. Markentile. So if y'all want to do that, or, you know.
So if I may, Mr. President, if I could speak to my motion.
Sure, go ahead.
She has some documents. It still seems to be a little bit open-ended. The phone calls you haven't returned. 30 days allows you, in my judgment, to give you an opportunity to get your things in order, report back, work with staff so staff can get back with us. If 30 days that there's no change, then
understand.
obviously there's a decision, and it's still not clear how this motion will play out. But
Right.
I'm trying to give you an opportunity to
Well,
do
that,
these
and that
things.
gives me some ammunition to use with them also, that something needs to happen, because now I just have 30 days.
Okay, back to Mr. Brame.
Okay, so you'd be better off with us condemning it because they would, are you saying that document they would build your new house, or you would?
That's what their website says. No one has told me that specifically, but that's what their website says. That if there's,
Yeah, I sort of cut you off, but me listening to you and everything you said, you want it gone.
well, it's just, I just don't think it can be repaired for,
I don't
for the
think
amount
you
of
can
money
either
that,
for
them.
$90,000.
Right.
But, so, my motion's gonna stand, because if you find out that you don't get one built, then you can move your mobile home that you're having problems with now, whatever, get your permits and move it on this piece of property.
Right.
I don't know, but I think by listening to everything that you said, I think you want it gone, and,
I would rather a new house.
yeah, so my motion's gonna, that's my motion.
Okay. Mr. Burley.
Mr. Crane, how many extensions have we done on this? This isn't the first time this property's been on.
At least 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, you're right. But we got to vote on that one first.
3 extensions, so at least we're probably over 100 days dealing with this property. And really, very little has been done.
Well, 3
It's
years
hard
I've
for
been
me to
dealing with this
believe that
property.
30 days from now, we're gonna do anything. And really, I'm seeing pictures, but it doesn't look like it would be a wise investment to even try to repair this. And the roof hasn't been completely fixed since the storm, so we're 3 years since the storm.
Actually, we just got the permit to repair the roof in May.
I think 30 days just kicking the can down the road, and we're gonna be back here in 30 days looking at the same thing. This has just gone on way too long. And personally, I believe you're better off if it's gone.
My fear is just that if you guys do condemn it and then they're not gonna tear it down, I can't afford the bill for you guys condemning it, for you guys tearing it down.
Mr. President,
So back to
after
Mr.
hearing you say that you would prefer it removed or torn down, I'll just withdraw my motion.
Very good. Well, we got there. Okay, Mr. Stelly.
But you still, the cost of demolition on that property is still your responsibility.
Right.
You know
Right.
that. Okay.
Okay, so now we have a motion on the floor, well, still by Mr. Brame, and it was to condemn and remove in 30 days. And the second, I've completely forgot. Ms. Kathy, would you, Mr. Burley?
Was it?
So it's clear as mud now. Do we have any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. 1G, 103 Jersey Drive in Topsy. Do we have anyone in the audience here to speak on 1G, 103 Jersey Drive in Topsy?
Move to condemn.
Got a motion by Mr. Stelly, a second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 1H, 1975 Walker Road in Carlos. Is there anyone in the audience
Move to
here to
condemn.
speak on
Second.
1H, 1975 Walker Road in Carlos? Had a motion by Mr. Barris, second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 1I, 5562 Cormier Road in Vinton. Is there anyone in the audience here to speak on 1I, 5562
condemn.
Cormier
Second.
Road in Vinton? Got a motion by Mr. Barris, second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 1J, 129 Long Pine Drive in Sulphur. Is there anyone in the audience here to speak on 1J, 129 Long Pine Drive in Sulphur? Got a motion by Mr. Burley, a second by Mr. Markentile to condemn and remove in 30 days. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 1K, 3909 East Burton Street in Mossville. We do have a speaker. Mr. Earl James. Jones, I'm sorry, sir.
Earl Lee Jones, not James Earl Lee.
All right, please state your name and address for the record.
I want to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to come here, and I've visited with the planning department, and they've treated me very well. And this project was brought to me in April, and the reason why it was brought to me because I'm 78 years old, and I used to do all these city projects in town under the Mac John James project and all that. I got a lot of experience on doing old homes like this. I did with Abdi Properties, which took from eight houses to over 100 here in Lake Charles. I ran Dotson Plumbing for 15 years. I married in that family to Carolyn Jones, who was a clerk of court in the clerk of court for years. What happened here is we had a 90 days. They gave me 90 days, 24 April. And what happened then, at the 1st of June, something hit me right here and went all the way down here, and I went to acupuncture, and they started putting needles and needles and needles, and I'm still not released, but my next appointment is on the 10th of this month. Now, I took this, I put in for $11,000 to bring it up to what we need. But what happens, and she took everything she had. This lady's 76 years old, and she took everything she had, which was $4,000. You send me that $4,000, I'll make something happen. And what happened then is that when this happened, I couldn't do what I thought I was going to be able to do, and with the heat and all that stuff involved. However, no water has ever been on the inside of that house. They thought it was a hole in the roof. From the outside, the appearance maybe looked like that because there was a tree hanging over there, but it wasn't touching the roof. And on the side of the roof, on what we call the rakes, the last little roof on the outside of the house, that was repaired. The roof's been repaired. Now, about 2 weeks ago, somebody took a picture. They said, and from the road, it looked like nothing had been repaired. When the house is this old, you had to scrape on it and all these things, but it was ready for paint, but I couldn't go any further with that. But the inside of the house, that's the floor there. That was the best house in Mossville at one point. It's very historical, and it's very dear to me. In 1967, I drove her 65 Lincoln, suicide, took this lady around. Her sister inherited in California, Miss Lacey Vincent, and very good citizen out there. And they named the Williams Marsh behind the house in the Bay Area, named it to the Dotson.
Okay, Mr. Jones, you gotta just kind of stick to why you think that the structure should not be condemned.
Okay, why it should not be condemned? Because first of all, no water has ever been on the inside of the house. And the ceiling, we got pictures showing you the ceilings. The ceilings are good, and I'm just saying the ceilings, no damage in the ceiling, no damage on the floors. It's got hardwood floors in there. And so right now, where we are right now, I just learned this while I was here about a deferral. Somebody told me about this. So if you give me 30 days, and this ain't no government money, there ain't no nothing, there's all this blood and guts, but I can make it happen because I can do it.
Okay, Mr. John, I think we got some questions for you. Mr. Burley.
You said you got this back in April and you went on about different things, but the only thing that I can see has been done was the grass finally got cut a few weeks ago for the first time in 2 years, probably.
Excuse me, sir. I ain't trying to be contentious or contrary.
And the second thing, I've got the floor right now, sir. I've got the floor right now, okay?
I'm sorry, I apologize.
And I represent that district. I'm very familiar with this house. You or someone else went on there and put some paint in the last week or two on the front of it, didn't even finish painting the front of it, but slapped a little paint on the front of it. And that's the only thing I can see has been done on that house since the storm. And like I said, the grass finally got cut a few weeks ago.
That's
What do you,
I'm sorry.
I want to work with you, okay?
Please.
But I want to see you help yourself or she or whoever and make some progress on it. Going over there for a few hours one day and slapping a little paint on, 3/4 of the front of it, didn't get all the way up underneath the eaves or anything. That's not much effort. But you saying in 30 days, you're gonna have it completed on the outside?
Yes, sir, because can, you
Yes,
want me to
sir.
respond
I'm
to that?
asking you a question.
Okay, yeah, what happened is, all the boards on the front of the house, they were off, the siding.
Mr.
and so
Jones.
Like I said, I'm familiar with the house. I'm very familiar with that house.
That's been
Mr. Jones,
repaired.
the question was, could you repair it in 30 days?
Yes, sir.
That's what he asked you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, I'm willing to offer a motion to defer for 30 days.
Second.
We come back in 30 days and you hadn't done anything, my
I'm gonna be
motion
in
is gonna be
trouble.
to condemn.
I understand.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any further questions by any of the jurors? All right, so we got a motion on the floor by Mr. Burley and a second by Mr. Smith to defer for 30 days. Is that correct, Mr. Burley?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other discussion, any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, 3A, adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the cooperative endeavor agreement between the police jury and the city of Sulphur to include an additional
Move on
commitment
3A.
of funds from the city for the proposed extension of Carlos Drive between Wright Road and Louisiana Highway 27. Got a motion by Mr. Tremonti, second by Mr. Anderpont. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 3B, adopt a resolution approving an amendment to the professional engineering contract between the police jury and C.H. Fenstermaker and Associates LLC to include additional services for professional surveying related to water system improvements and expansions in Wards 3 and 8. I have a motion by Mr. Stelly, a second by Mr. Barty. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 3C, adopt ordinances approving purchase of the following properties through funding received from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Number 1, 702 Sundale Drive, Lake Charles, and number 2, 2436 Brookfield Street, also in Lake Charles.
Move on 3C.
I got a motion by Mr. Hayes, second by Vice President Brame, on both bullets. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 4A, approve the minutes of regular meeting of the police jury dated September 7th, 2023. Got a motion by Mr. Burley, second by Mr. Barty. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Adopt a resolution
Move on
approving a
4B.
professional service agreement between the police jury and the P-Card Group for Federal Government Affairs and Advocacy Services. Motion by Mr. Barty, second by Mr. Barris. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Move on 4C.
4C, adopt a resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the police jury and the Southwest Louisiana Economic Development Alliance for economic development services. Got a motion by Mr. Anderpont, second by Mr. Marcantel. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you for being here, Mr. Swift. We appreciate you. 4D, adopt a resolution in
4D.
support of an application by Lake Charles Exports LLC to the U.S. Department of Energy for long-term authorization to export liquefied natural gas. I have a motion by Mr. Tremonti, second by Mr. Marcantel. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 5A, approve
Move on
applications for
5A.
liquor and beer permits. Mr. Crane and staff recommends that 14 renewal applications be approved. Got a motion by Mr. Richard and a second by Mr. Burley. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 5B, adopt a resolution
5B.
accepting Saddle Ridge subdivision, Phase 2, located off Robinson Road in Ward 2. I got a motion by Mr. Stelly, a second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Are we good, Mr. Gale? You look nervous, but,
Only if you have questions.
okay. And which item, sir?
B and C.
5B?
And C.
Oh, and C? Okay, well then, hold on. 5C, adopt a resolution accepting
on
Waterside
5C.
Meadows at Morganfield subdivision located off of Carbina Road in Ward 3. Got a motion by Mr. Barty, second by Mr. Markentile. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Go ahead, Mr. Barris.
Mr. Gale, do we need to call you to the stand so you can bill them for this?
For the second time.
Okay.
I appreciate the opportunity.
I'm good, sir.
All right. Thank you for being here, Mr. Gale. 5D, adopt ordinances associated with adjudicated property sale conducted on September 26, 2023. Got a motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Stelly. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 6A, adopt a resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement for the Continuum of Care Permanent Supported Housing Initiative in the amount of $284,431. Got a motion by Mr. Gilrery, second by Mr. Barty. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Move on
6B, adopt a
6B.
resolution approving
Second.
the submittal of a funding application for the operation and capital assistance for the provision of transportation services to rural citizens. Got a motion by Mr. Burley, a second by Mr. Lewis. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 6C, acknowledge the submittal of minutes from the Calhoun Parish Human Services Advisory Board for meetings held on April 18, 2023 and June 20th, 2023. Got a motion by Mr. Barty, second by Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Move on 7A.
7A, approve payment of all current invoices. I have a motion by Mr. Anderpont, second by Mr. Burley.
Why not?
He picked three people, so I don't know.
Don't mind.
Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. I'm sure all the bills are now paid. 7B, adopt a
on
resolution
7B.
on proposals received for solid waste collection and disposal services for parish facilities.
Yeah.
Staff recommends Waste Management of Louisiana LLC, number one, be selected as a service provider, and two, be awarded the contract after negotiations are completed. I had a motion by Mr. Markentile, second by Mr. Hayes. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 7C, adopt a resolution on bids
on
for the
7C.
East Calhoun Parish Road and Drainage Rehabilitation. Staff recommends the bid of R.E. Hyatt Construction Company, LLC, in the amount of $4,483,749.46 be accepted. Got a motion by Mr. Richard, second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
On
7D, action on bids for ready-mix concrete.
Second.
Staff recommends the bid of PAI Ready Mix LLC be accepted. Got a motion by Mr. Burley, second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 7E, action
Move
on
on
bids for
7E.
one
Second.
2023 or newer three-quarter ton quad-door extended cab and chassis. Staff recommends the low bid of Mike Willis Ford LLC in the amount of $56,842 be accepted. Got a motion by Mr. Markentile, a second by Mr. Burley. We're going to have Mr. Tremonti and Mr. Barris are going to recuse themselves. I'm sure Miss Kathy already knew that. Is there any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 7F, action
on
on bids
7F.
for one 2023 or newer one-ton extended cab, long wheelbase, dual-wheel flatbed truck. Staff recommends the bid of Mike Willis Ford LLC in the amount of $66,925 be accepted. Got a motion by Mr. Markentile, second by Mr. Richard. Everything will be the same. Mr. Barris and Mr. Monty will recuse himself. Is there any further discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Move on 7G, Mr.
7G.
President.
Second.
Adopt on a resolution on bids for the Moss Gully Improvement Project Task 2. Staff recommends the bid of APEC Construction LLC in the amount of $739,770 be accepted. Got a double motion by Mr. Richard. That's been a few years in the making, hasn't it? And we got a second. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Richard, we don't have a second. I don't think it's gonna get done. You waited all that time, and you just wasn't able to pull it off. Second by Mr. Markentile. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. That teach you, don't get too excited until it's over.
I'm happy.
7H.
Move on 7H.
Adopt a resolution accepting the highway, library renovation and hurricane repairs project as substantially complete. I have a motion by Mr. Stelly, a second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 7I, advertise for a request for proposals for mosquito control emergency aerial services. Have a motion by Mr. Burley, second by Mr. Richard. Is there any discussion? Mr. Burley?
Is this to cover for like hurricanes, or if we had a outbreak that we couldn't handle, or mechanical issues with our planes or trucks? That's what this is for?
Please state your name and position with the parish.
Nathan
please.
Areno, Director of Public Health Services. What this covers is in the event that we have like post-hurricane or something and we need to call in special services, or if for some reason our planes can't get up because of lack of pilots or those type of things, we have a per acre agreement with emergency services so that we're not without service.
That's right, okay.
And they only bill us if we use the service.
Right, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reno. Are there any other questions? Any further discussion? Objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 8A, Calcasieu Parish Planning and Zoning Board.
Reappoint Ms. Garcia.
Okay, we have a motion to reappoint Ms. Julia White Dickerson and Ms. Sharon Galicia by Mr. Richard, second by Mr. Markentel. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 8B, Ward 4, Fire
Move to
Protection District
reappoint
Number
both.
3. Reappoint both. We have a motion to reappoint Mr. Shane Boudreau and Mr. James Gentry. Motion by Mr. Burley, second by Mr. Markentel. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 8C, Ward 5, Fire Protection District Number 1. We have a motion to appoint Mr. Brian Ledoux by Mr. Markentel, second by Mr. Richard. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 8C, Ward 5, Fire Protection District Number 1. Oh, no, sorry. We're on 8D. Ward 8, Fire Protection District
Move to
Number 2.
reappoint Dwayne Chapman.
Got a motion by Mr. Stelly to reappoint Mr. Dwayne Chapman. Had a second by Mr. Tremonti. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 8E, West Calcasieu Port, Harbor, and Terminal District.
Tim Dougherty.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Barris and a second by Mr. Andropont to reappoint Mr. Tim Daugherty. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 8F, Vinton Harbor and Terminal District. Mr. Barris, I guess we are submitting the name of Mr. Alex Morrow and also Mr. Brent Clement.
A second.
And I guess that goes to the governor, I believe, yeah. Okay, we had a motion by Mr. Barris, second by Mr. Andropont. Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Number 9 was advise item. Number 10, 10A, adopt a resolution of condolences to be forwarded to the family of the late Elsie Gilry. Mr. Gilry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say that my uncle has served 31 years in government, first starting off here at the police jury. I think he did like 15 here and then 17 or something at the state rep. I remember walking with him many campaigns, helping him campaign. I was with him in Baton Rouge. And my uncle used to always tell me that if you're going to get in politics, make sure you help people. He said there's a lot of people out there that need help, and he's always believed in helping people any way he could. So I just want to say that he did his time, and can you imagine the phone calls, 31 years? He had a lot of phone calls, so I just want to say thank you all for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Gilry. Mr. Andropont.
To add along, one of the things that sticks out with Elsie Gilry that he said, which he said in many of wise things, but he said there's a difference between the needy and the greedy. and there's a lot of truth in that. But that still resonates with me, Tony.
Mr. Smith.
So, growing up in District 2, I always kind of idolized Mr. Guillory, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to become a police juror. Because, you know, he did such great work, and growing up, that's the only police juror that I actually knew growing up. And when I ran for the office, he would always talk to me and just always did say about helping people and also making sure that you follow up with people and always stay in touch with the people, because the people are the ones that actually put you in office. So I definitely want to give my condolences to the Guillory family. They definitely have the actual blessing and prayers of my family, and God bless them.
Are there any other discussion?
I just condolences to you, Mr. Guillory, and to your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Elsey was a great man. Mr. Barty?
Again, I would like to also offer my condolences, Tony, to you and your family. Mr. Guillory was a great man. You guys talk about him being a great politician, but the one thing I remember about him most was he was just a good person. And that's what I just want to say about Mr. Guillory. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barty. Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, I just want to say he helped my career out. He was one of the barbers too that first started. So you got my condolences, Tony.
Is there any other discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. 10B, adopt a resolution of condolences to be forwarded to the family of the late James Vickers. Mr. Beam?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say a few comments about Jimmy. Jimmy Vickers holds a special place in the modern history of the police jury. He was the first director of planning and development for Calcasieu Parish. It was actually a newly created department back in 1980 when Jimmy was appointed by the police jury. Prior to that, he had worked for MCAL for a few years, the Regional Planning Commission. Jimmy served 32 years in his position, and he retired in 2012. It's important to note that the Planning and Development Director position in local government is a very demanding one. The person who holds this title must balance the interests of many groups in the community, as well as all citizens. On an issue people tend to get extremely passionate about, land use. I think that is pretty evident. Jimmy understood this well, and he was effective at finding that sweet spot where private property rights and the well-being of the community at large could coexist. And that takes a special set of skills not everybody has, because it's very difficult. On a personal level, Jimmy was a lot of fun to be around. I know we have some jurors, of course, that knew Jimmy. He had an infectious laugh. And it was not uncommon for Jimmy to be the first one to laugh after telling his own joke. And he tended to turn really red when he started laughing. When he was more serious, though, he had a habit of rubbing his head before giving an answer to a tricky question, not unlike what Mr. Barris does sometimes. But he would always give that some thought before he'd say his answer, because, again, land use. Those of us who remain here who knew Jimmy will miss him greatly. But his numerous contributions toward making Calcasieu Parish a good place to live and work will benefit us all for a long time to come. And we're going to miss Jimmy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Guillory?
I think it was Chris, Tony, and myself here then, right? I'm sorry about you, Mr. But I was going to say he was a great person to work with and everything. I'm sorry, you're leaving, so I forgot.
You hadn't left yet, he's already forgot.
My condolences to the family. He was a great person to work with.
Mr. Bryan?
So, yeah, Brian, Jimmy, my brother-in-law and Jimmy ran at the YMCA
That's right.
all the
That's
time.
right.
And so they knew each other back then. And then, yeah, so I remember Jimmy, and probably, I don't know if I can say it like Jimmy always did, but, you know, when you'd have a discussion with Jimmy or he'd say a sentence, at the end of it, he'd say, and everything.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And everything. And you know, he was a great guy. Just pray for, you know, Jill and, yeah. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there any other comments, any other discussion? Yeah, Jimmy, he was really something else. He was fun to be around, fun to work with, and there'd never be another one like him, that's for sure. He was something else. All right, we had a motion and a second. Any further discussion, any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 11 is all advice items.
To adjourn.
And we have a motion by Mr.
Second.
Burley and a second by Mr. Barris
Yes.
to adjourn. We are adjourned.